Right, so if we've implemented the find all, the delete, and the create, let's see if we can update an existing record. Right, so first we'll need to be able to choose which record we want to update. Right, so somehow I need to be able to say, oh, I want to update Bob or Ed. Okay, now you can get as fancy as you want. Right, if I click on somebody that I want to edit, maybe you want to pop up a dialog and then have them change the values, or maybe you want to navigate to a different page, do the changes, and then come back. I think the easiest thing would be that if you choose to edit Bob, right, I'm just going to reuse the same form, right? I'm just going to reuse the same input field, all right, but I'm just going to add an additional button, right, and the button I'm going to call it update. Make sense? Right, so if I click on create, it'll create a new user, but if I click on update, it'll update some user that I've selected previously. Okay, right, some students want to get fancy. If you want to try out dialogues and things like that, go ahead, right, but I think the easiest thing is to just reuse the input field and maybe just add a new button. Okay, all right, so let's see if we can I'll try to select either Bob or Ed, and then I'll use the form to be able to change them. All right, so let's do that. Let's on the HTML, sorry, in the controller, what I'll do is that when I'm rendering the users, I'm going to add an additional button, and I'm going to call it an edit button, and this is going to say edit, and I'm going to bind the edit button to a function called edit user. Okay, all right, so let's implement that. So we'll put it here, function edit user, and that takes as argument the index, right? So I can grab the actual user from users index. I can grab the ID of the user that I'm editing. User ID is user._ID, right? And what I need to do is that notice that I'm only displaying the username, right? And always, my object is in the array, right? What I could do is use my local array and populate the form with my local cache. I could do that, right? But that's too easy. So I'm asking you to go to instead go out to the server, fetch that one record, that single record, bring it back, and then populate the form, right? I know you already have kind of the data cached in your browser because it's in the array, right? So there it is. I mean, I already have the user, right? I could just populate the form, right? But just so that we learn about all the 5 different CRUD operations, right? Let's use a find by ID. Let's implement the find by ID. I have the ID. I'm going to go back to the server, fetch that one record, and then I'll populate my form. Okay, right? I know I'm going to get a lot of quick questions on Piazza. Why are we using the find by ID? It's just a chance to practice, right? Those 5 CRUD operations. Yes.
Is the server, if it receives the same ID or something, just going to update it normally, like clobber it, or what's going to happen?
It will only update the fields that you give it.
So if I add a new user and just happen to toss in my own ID,
the underscore IDs will be removed. So do not pass an underscore ID as part of the object.
Okay, so I do have to use the update specific.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So here's where I edit a user. Very good. I have the user ID. Let's go fetch them. Fetch the user. Here's find user by ID. Let's implement that. It's almost identical to find all users. The only difference between find all users is that it takes the ID, the user ID. So I'm just going to copy it from here. Right, I'm going to paste it right there. Oops, here. Right, so this is going to fetch that one user given the primary key. Yes? All right. So let's use it. We're going to go back to our controller, and we're going to use user service dot find user by ID. I'm going to pass in the user ID. This is going to come back with the actual user. right? And then I can update the form. I can update the form with the user that just came back, right? I can say username field dot value will be the actual user dot username, right? So let's try it out. Right, so if I guess I never added the edit button. The edit button, there it is, there's the edit button. I never added it to the li. So let's append it. Li append the edit button. There's our edit button. So if I click on edit, notice it becomes Bob, or it becomes Ed. And then I can change, right? So instead of Bob, I might say Edward, right? And then press an update button, and it would go on and update the actual user. Make sense? All right. All right, so we know how to implement and use the find me a particular record with that primary key, right? So we now have 4 of the 5 CRUD operations, right? We have the last one is I want to update something, right? I have a field, I want to update it, I want to go back to the server with the new values, right, and change it. All right, so let's take a look at that.